Hi, this is for my Worldviews class in preparation for your final test, where you'll be doing what I call a worldview walkthrough with me. And so I'm going to give you an example of how you should do the secular humanist worldview. And so here we go. All right. So in secular humanism, we're going to answer 10 questions. All right. First one is in theology. Is there a God? And if there is a God, what's that God like? If there isn't a God, why don't I believe there's a God? And then, you know, what do I substitute for God? Secular humanism is an atheistic worldview, and their atheism is built on the idea that there's no scientific proof for the existence of God, and that just even philosophically they reject the arguments that are made in favor of the existence of God, and would also probably raise the argument that because there's evil in the world, therefore there can't be an all-powerful, all-good God. They substitute in place of God nature and self. Interestingly, I read an article in the paper, not an article, a letter to the editor in the paper the other day objecting to Christian prayers at public meetings and saying, well, maybe we should pray a prayer that works for everybody. And in the prayer, they ended up praying to themselves. I thought to myself, perfect example of secular humanism because we look to ourselves and to nature to replace God. So moving over into philosophy, we're going to answer questions like the nature of reality and, you know, is there truth? Can truth be found? If it can be found, where might it be found? And so in philosophy, they are... okay, got to find them here. They are naturalists, okay? As naturalists, naturalism, materialism, very, very similar, and for the sake of this course, about the same. If there is no God, all you're left with is nature, and so all truth arises from nature, all that exists is nature. They are monists, okay? They are material monists. They believe that all that exists is matter. So therefore theology and philosophy connect together, and that all of reality would be matter because that's all you're left with once you remove God from that formula. And so going over into ethics, moral relativism. Moral relativism because, again, morals, ethics, you know, what ought to be done and what ought not to be done is up to us. You know, nature might teach us a few things, but in the end, it's up to human decisions, and so therefore morality and ethics and those sort of things are a changing thing that changes as people, and we'll get into this next, as we evolve. As we become different over time, we're going to evolve ethics like we evolved physically as far as they're concerned, okay? So stepping over into biology, what are we? You know, what are we? We are biological beings as far as they're concerned. You're a body. Okay, you're a body that evolved, and you know, you evolved from lower forms. Eventually, if you go back far enough, you evolved from non-living matter, and so they are in biology neo-Darwinian evolutionists. Okay, they believe in a new order kind of view. You know, there's a lot that Darwin didn't know, and so his theory has flaws in it that you know, they try to correct in neo-Darwinian theory. But nonetheless, the idea that because there's no God to create us, therefore we arrived by accident through a process of evolution. All right, so moving on, psychology. Not just what are we, but who are we? And you know, what is mental health and how is it attained? All right, again, here in psychology, they are monists, okay? You are basically programmed meat. You are a body that projects a sense of self that helps your survival, and that's why you project it. A healthy self is a self-actualized self, a self that that does what it's supposed to do. So whatever you have evolved into, if you do that, you are self-actualized and you are fulfilled, and therefore you're the best you can be. So mental health is again a fairly relative thing. It is attained, you know, through trying to meet my own needs, and it is, if I successfully meet my own needs, then I am a mentally healthy individual. In sociology, non-traditional family, church, and state. Not that they're big believers in church, but when it comes to spirituality, as they might understand it, the idea of addressing that non-physical self that we feel that we have, that mind that thinks, and so the non-traditional forms, the idea that we want to push off and, you know, get people away from the church and traditional family models that tend to hold people back in these old ideas of religion and you know, nuclear family, and try to get people into more of a community kind of mindset, you know, that we are a community, you know, and that our identity might more likely be found in a school than it would be in a family. Okay, they let the government be the ones who drive these new forms. And so then moving on into law, positive law, all right? So the Christian is going to believe in divine and natural law, the idea that there is a law revealed to us by God, and that God who created nature also, invested some of those principles in nature to be discovered. And so there's this faith and reason balance there. For these folks, positive law, because again, no God in the picture. Again, mental health being kind of whatever I'm supposed to be. This more fluid kind of idea about law, that law is there to be used to make the progress that we think is necessary. So there is no divine law to resort to, nor is there necessarily a design in nature to be adhered to. We might discover some things. We might find out that the Tweety birds do something, or that monkeys do something, and decide, hey, that's probably a good model for us. But again, they would be based on human reasoning, and would be the idea that we should use law to accomplish what we see as the best goals for humanity. All right, in politics, liberalism, although there are plenty of conservative secular humanists, the idea though that government involvement in our lives is a good thing. That the idea that we can evolve a very positive, good government, or perhaps even a one-world government that would be a good thing. All right, eventually we will evolve into fewer conflicts and less need for governance. We are being perfected, getting better and better every day. So therefore, the political order of a secular government that does not, bow to any particular religious ideas, even, okay, not necessarily that even Christians in our country would think that, that the government just bowing to the church is an organization, but not even religious ideas. A secular government, the idea that it's purely based on human reasoning, apart from religious dogma or ideas, okay? In economics, interventionism, and again, you have your libertarian secular humanists that would be different on this, but a lot of folks here, again, believing that in good government, the idea that a government can be good and can be trusted to manipulate the economy in ways that are good for us. And in history, the idea of historical evolution, the idea that what we are confronting here is a history it is evolution. The most important thing to the secular humanists that's happening in history, and the most important thing that we can look at going forward, is our own evolution, the evolution of the world around us. And with that, okay, you get a pretty good mark for doing it that way.